Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed. Today, we're plunging into a trend that's, well, it's quietly reshaping rural landscapes. We're talking about the surprising surge in popularity of hunting leases, particularly right here in the Midwest. Our analysis for this deep dive draws heavily from insights provided by Basecamp Leasing, which gives us a really unique window into why this whole phenomenon is gaining so much traction. So the big questions we're exploring today are, what's truly driving this trend? Why now? And what does it actually mean for you, whether you're a landowner or a hunter in the region?
And it's a perfect topic to explore this idea of unseen value in rural land. Often we think of property purely in terms of, say, agriculture or maybe development potential. But there's a significant, often overlooked layer of value there, especially when it comes to wildlife and recreational use. It's really about unlocking what's already there.
Okay, let's unpack this then, because I think even for those of us pretty familiar with land use, the real history behind hunting leases, especially how it relates to the Midwest, it can be kind of surprising. Where did this whole concept actually start?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the concept of hunting leases actually has really deep roots, and they originated down in the South. We're talking as early as the 1900s. The real revelation isn't just that hunting leases exist, but that they're basically a century-old innovation. It's kind of a testament to how quickly some landowners recognized this untapped value in their property long before monetization was, even a buzzword. They figured out pretty fast that hunters were willing to pay for access.
The early 1900s. Wow.
Yeah.
That's much earlier than I think most people would guess. And it wasn't just like individual landowners making deals, was it? Our research suggests it expanded into corporate settings too.
Exactly. Yeah, the practice evolved. Large entities, think timber companies, they started leasing hunting rights on their huge tracts of land. Over the past 100 years or so, this concept has really grown. It led to the establishment of more formal hunt clubs where hunters would either join existing groups or, form their own. And while it did gradually spread to other regions like the Northwest and the West, the Midwest was definitely the slowest to adopt this practice. Much slower.
That's a really significant time lag between the South and the Midwest. Was it mostly about the different land ownership patterns, or were there maybe cultural factors involved too? Like maybe Midwesterners just had a different view on land access or hunting rights historically?
That's a really insightful question. The key differences largely do stem from land ownership patterns, yes. The South was, and still is, dominated by these enormous contiguous tracts of land, often owned by large landowners or businesses or corporations, big players. Now contrast that with the Midwest. The landscape here was really characterized by smaller properties, typically acquired and maintained by families, not these large corporate entities. So that meant fewer landowners were maybe willing or even set up to allow others access for hunting. And you're right, there probably was a cultural component too. Historically, maybe fewer Midwesterners hunted compared to the South, or at least there wasn't as much awareness that hunters were actually willing to pay for property access.
Okay, so we've got the historical backdrop. But what's really driving this current surge we're seeing now? Our research points to a pretty pivotal shift in land ownership, especially over the last few decades. We're seeing Midwestern properties increasingly being bought up by businesses, corporations, and even these really successful large farming operations. And this is leading to the assembly of much larger tracts than we saw traditionally.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, these new owners, whether they're businesses or large-scale farming operations, they are definitely looking to maximize profits. It's a business. So when they assemble these larger tracts, making them available as hunting leases becomes a very, very attractive way to generate additional income from that land. It's really just a natural evolution of land management for profit, and frankly, it's a smart business decision for them.
Right. Now let's talk about the unique appeal of Midwest hunting land itself, because it's clearly a prime destination for hunters. You just have to glance at the Whitetail record books, right? This region consistently offers some of the best odds for harvesting truly trophy bucks. And it's not just one thing, it's a combination of factors. Rich agricultural soil giving great nutrition, specific genetics, a healthy age structure in the deer population, and, a history of quality deer management in many areas. It creates this ecosystem that's just uniquely primed for trophy potential.
And that raises a really important point. Beyond just the trophy potential, the Midwest also boasts some of the highest deer densities anywhere. So this makes it a target-rich environment, which is appealing not just for those seeking a monster buck, but also for meat hunters. And let's be honest, pretty much all hunters appreciate seeing a lot of deer, don't they? So this inherent value, it's increasingly being recognized, and that's leading directly to this surge in demand for these leases.
And this shift in value, or maybe how hunters access that value, it's pretty incredible. Historically, weren't a lot of Midwestern opportunities tied up with guides and outfitters? Those short, maybe 3 to 5 day hunts.
That's right. That was a common model.
But now it seems hunters can potentially lease an entire farm, maybe for the whole season, sometimes for the same or maybe even less money than one of those short guided hunts. That's a big change.
It's a huge change in access and opportunity for the hunter. Absolutely.
So where are we seeing this trend really taking off the most, geographically speaking, within the Midwest? Are there specific hot spots showing up in the data, like from base camp leasing?
Absolutely. Yeah, when we look at Basecamp Leasing's numbers, the top 5 states that are really showing this surge are Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Missouri. Those are the big ones right now.
Okay, Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, Missouri. Got it. So let's flip this around. If you're a landowner listening to this and thinking, maybe my property could work as a hunting lease, what's the first step? Is like every piece of rural property suitable for this?
That's a really crucial point. No, not every property is suitable for a hunting lease. Not at all. Landowners need to take a really honest look at their land. I mean, deer and other wild game, they have basic needs, right? They need places to bed down, places to feed, access to water, and really importantly, sanctuary. Areas where they feel safe from human activity. So you have to realistically gauge if your property offers what deer and maybe other wild game need to actually live there and what the wildlife population currently looks like. It's about providing that whole package, that ecosystem for them.
Right. So it's not just about the total acreage then, but really about the quality of that ground for wildlife. Like,
Yeah.
you could have a 1,000-acre property, but maybe only 10 acres is actual timber or good cover. That's probably low value for a lease, I'd guess. But contrast that with another 1,000 acres where maybe 900 acres are prime cover, woods, thickets, whatever, and only 100 acres are open ground now that's looking like high value, right? You really have to be maybe brutally honest with yourself about what your land truly offers from a deer's perspective.
Precisely. Exactly. And this is actually where using a trusted leasing agent, like Basecamp Leasing, can be incredibly helpful. They deal with this all the time. They can help you navigate these questions, assess your property's real potential, help establish its value in the current market, and honestly, just streamline the whole leasing process for you. It takes a lot of guesswork out.
Okay, that makes sense. So it really sounds like a genuine opportunity then for proactive landowners to, well, cash in might be a strong term, but certainly benefit financially from this growing movement. What are the actual financial upsides we're seeing here?
Well, the financial benefits can be pretty significant. Landowners can use the income generated from these leases to help offset a whole variety of rising costs. We're talking about increasing property taxes, which everyone feels, right? Rising interest rates if they have loans, fuel costs for equipment, other general maintenance expenditures. It all adds up. We're seeing examples where the lease income can cover a really significant chunk of the annual property taxes, or maybe even fully offset fuel costs or basic maintenance for the year. It can turn what was just an expense column into something that actually contributes.
And it's important to stress, it's not just for people with massive land holdings, right?
Huh.
The data seems to highlight that properties of various sizes, I mean, obviously not a tiny backyard, but maybe starting from 10, 20 acres, if it's the right 10, 20 acres, all the way up to hundreds or thousands, they can all serve as valuable hunting leases.
Absolutely. Size matters, but habitat quality and location within that size are really key. A smaller parcel with excellent habitat in a good area can be very desirable.
Okay, so just to recap quickly, we've explored the surprisingly deep historical roots of hunting leases, starting way back in the South. We've seen how the Midwest, initially kind of slow to adopt, is now really embracing this trend, largely due to these shifts in land ownership patterns. And we talked about the inherent undeniable value of Midwestern land, specifically for hunting the deer quality, the density. And then for landowners, it's emerging as a really practical way to generate income and help offset those ever-increasing property costs.
Exactly. And maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. As these land ownership patterns continue to evolve, and let's face it, the costs of maintaining rural properties just keep climbing. What new and creative ways might landowners continue to unlock and monetize the value of their land, maybe even beyond traditional uses like farming or timber or even these hunting leases? It really makes you pause and consider how our relationship with land is constantly shifting, doesn't it? From, subsistence farming way back to land as a commodity, and now increasingly as this recreational asset as well. It's definitely a question worth mulling over.